Welcome, and it's good to see you. I know we just met on Friday. It feels like it was like super quick. I'm like, oh, ask him. So, what wins or learning did you have over the weekend, or what progress did you make? What did you do? I mean, setting appointments counts, meetings count, you know what I mean? Angie, I want you to share what you're doing in your social media right now. I think it's great. What are you doing?
Oh, I am doing 45 days to loving yourself, of just loving yourself.
Oh yeah. I've
what
been
you're,
I've been watching that. It's awesome.
well, thank you. I'm just trying to be real and and it's making me do something every day to specifically focus on it. But I did have a win yesterday. I had struggled on Sunday. The bishop came up and said, "Hey, you guys, we need to get your clearance scheduled so you guys can get sealed in June." And like it just hit me like a mountain of bricks. And I just looked at my husband because he's gone completely backwards. And there's no way, like my whole dream of being sealed June 23rd of 23 was a date that we came up with together. And I had to, like, I bawled the whole rest of the sacrament. I couldn't stop crying. I was angry. Like I was pissed at Greg. Like I just so mad. Like, why can't you just do this? Like I don't get it. Um, so I scheduled a session with Heather just to try and get my brain back in order. And I found that, I was attaching my worth to being sealed because I'm not sealed to anybody right now. And I want, I think there's a part of me that wants people to know that I'm good. Like, I'm good. I'm a good person. Like, I'm good. See, like, I'm good. I think it's a lot of it is my family.
That was your measuring stick, right? For yourself.
Like my family, when I met Greg and I started dating, like everyone stopped talking to me. Like all my siblings, there's two of them that are back on, that talk to me now, but it was like, my family's very, very judgy. Like if you're not living the way they want you to live, then you're a pile. Like they don't want to be around you because you make them look bad. So I think I just was attaching everything to it. And yesterday I got a phone call with her and thought, no, you know what? Like I don't go to the temple for Greg to change Greg. Like before I'm like, I'm going to the temple, please change his heart. Like, okay, I'm like going every week. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why aren't you changing his heart? Like, I'm doing all these things. Like, what? And I really feel like the lesson is for me because I need to learn to love myself and stand with who I am. And for me, like, it's whether Greg ever does or not, like, I'm going to be taken care of. If I die before we get sealed, then God will make sure I'm taken care of. I'm good. Like I'm good. I'm going to the temple for me. I'm doing these things for me, not to prove anything to anybody else. And I needed to hear that and I needed to figure it out. So it took a little bit, actually, a weight off my shoulders and hopefully some weight off Greg's shoulders too.
I love that. That is a huge win. It is. That's a huge win. I saw your post on that and I was like, yay, I was so happy for you because, a couple of things. One, being able to see that it's your own journey, right? And I was reading a book and totally a health journey, but she basically said, I don't worry about what's on other people's plates. And I was like, and I felt like that applied here. Like, is it really any of my business? Now, when it's your business of your family, right? You're trying to help them get there, that kind of thing.
Right.
But looking at, and I'm also reading The Gap and the Gain by Benjamin Hardy. And he talks about that when we focus on that gap, you were focused on the what's missing part. But if you look at the gain of what's come in all of that time, even if he's not where you were hoping to be, or your marriage, like, okay, our goal is here, but instead you could look at the gain of where it's come from where it was, right? Where you've come, that is even a bigger deal. And to celebrate, you know, to love all of him, which you do, right? So
I do. It just sometimes it's hard for me to see past,
Mhm.
right? And I think like, well, am I not good? Well, why am I not good enough for you to marry me in the temple? Like, why don't you want it like I do? Like, is there something wrong with me? And yeah, like I need to stop attaching myself to these things. And you're right. Like it's what's on his plate and other people's is none of my business. But I can pray to help, to know how to help other people with their plate, right? To make their loads lighter or whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, that. And then I've, you know, even this week, a friend said, you know, you got to not let other people, I mean, like my family, they're wanting to throw this big 80th birthday party for my mom. And no one has talked to me in 6 years. But my brother called me telling me that I need to set up this party for my mom so we can all be fake for 2 hours so my mom can get a picture and then we can go on with our lives and do whatever. And I just thought, how flippin' unhealthy is that? To me, it's like, I can't, it's hard for me to be fake. And I'm like, but if I'm a jerk if I don't do it for my mom. But there's been so many things I've been struggling with. You know what I mean? That my friend was like, don't let him on your island. You're on this island and you have a drawbridge to get there. And, you know, and you let whoever come into your island, come into your mind, come into your brain. You're the one that's in control of it. You're right. Like there's just a lot of things I have a lot to learn, on my journey. I'll tell you that much.
And
But
I
I'm
think
not.
I love that. I think we all could say the same thing, like, I have a lot to learn, right? And sometimes we learn the same thing over and over. And I love this is a quote. I feel like as you were talking, this reminds me of what you're saying and what probably Heather helped you. It says, you are the one who controls and directs your own life as you see fit. You take full ownership. You're not looking to someone or something outside of yourself. You exercise free will and choice. You act based on want, not need. For example, freedom is external. You're free from hunger. Freedom two is internal. You're free to choose what you'll eat. Does that make sense? And that's from The Gap in the Game.
I love that.
But basically, I love that you shared that. That like it's sorry, hold on.
No, you're good.
But yeah, it's our internal, and that we have to go back and just as we all get there, one thing he talks about is we're all going to go in the gap at some point. We just will. And so we need a plan for when that happens. But hold on one second.
You're good.
So, you're talking, Angie, and I'm thinking about this book I read by Leslie Householder. You've probably heard of her. She's the Jackrabbit Factor lady. And she's all about setting goals and partnering with God on them, and then trusting that at the right time, like basically in God's timing, they will happen.
What's the book?
It's the Jackrabbit Factor. She's written 3 books actually. There's the Jackrabbit Factor, and then what are the 3 called? And then there's anyway, I'll have to post it. But the point is, her husband, there was a point in their marriage where she's like, we're living these laws and all these great things are happening, and it's basically the law of the harvest, you know. And she's like, and it's awesome. And she said, but then my husband wasn't keeping up. He wasn't doing, you know, like I was ready to set these goals and move forward, and he wasn't. And I was really upset at him because I was like, come on, let's go. Let's do these things. Let's get this done, you know. And just basically what you were saying, just, you know, in her words instead of yours. And she said, as soon as I let go of the need for him to be where I was, it was okay. And she was able to she said, I told Heavenly Father, I'm like, fine, if he's not ready to do this, you know, that's okay. And she said, I'll just work on myself. And that's what she did. And she said, and something like I listened to the podcast about it too, as well as reading the post. And she said, and dang it, if he didn't come around and start setting goals all of a sudden, but I don't know how long it was from the time that she let that go till the time when he did, but she needed to not need him to do that. She, that was her focus was, come on. And she kept trying to get him motivated, and she kept praying, and she's like, why, Heavenly Father, why would you tell me we could do all these great things if we're not going to do them? And, et cetera, et cetera. And then, she just got to that point where she's like, she got the revelation that he's not where you are, and that's okay. We're all in different places, even if we're on the same road, we're all in different places.
Well, he's better than me in a lot of things. He's better than me in forgiving other people. And like, he can forgive someone like so easy. And me, I'm like, I'm trying, I'm just different.
Yeah, I'm praying to forgive, but that hasn't actually happened. Yeah, no, I get that. But, but that's, Hidden Treasures, that's another one of her books.
Okay.
Portal to Genius is her third one. But
Who wrote it?
Leslie Householder.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing is when I first started reading her, I was like, is this going to be another one of those, manifestation books? And no, she doesn't really go into that. In fact, she even has a couple of podcasts on how it's like, this is different. And this is why, because I'm not really, I'm not doing that. She said, I did meet a lady once, and she said, she only says this in one of her podcasts, where she said she did learn how to manifest what she wanted without putting God in it. And she said that, it was kind of almost like a witchcraft kind of a thing. She's like, I don't know. She's like, and I don't want to say too much. She said, but when she started putting God in it, she said, the reason I'm telling you this is she did start to bring God into it and say, Heavenly Father, this is what I really want to do. And basically thanking him for it as if it already had happened, that kind of thing. And then just saying his timeline, whatever happens, happens. And she said this lady came to her and said, the difference between God being in it and him not is I'm noticing that when with God in it, I have to grow. She's like, every single time I get blessings and I have experiences and whatever, now I grow and I learn. And I didn't have to do that before. And it's different. And you could tell she wasn't sure if she liked it or not, but she thought it was better. So just some thoughts.
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, and Angie, one thing I want to share too, your 45 days of being real, I want you to think about that for a minute of how that could be turned into an opt-in. So as we go around and everybody shares their wins and learning, I'm just going to plant that little seed in your head, because you're doing something that's going to build, that could be built for something else. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I love that. Okay. Drusha, Taylor, any wins and learning that you've had? Something that I know is short, but
I have
for
a
you.
landing page.
Woohoo! Will you
Yeah.
put that in that? Let's put that, either send it to me or put it in the WhatsApp, and let's look at it and see. That's great. Good job. Good job. That's awesome.
On Friday, I was like super charged from our meeting that happens. And I don't know, but I was just like, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it right now. And I seriously, I could not tell you how long it took me.
MailerLite? Did you do a website or MailerLite? Which one did you do it on?
I did MailerLite for the landing page. But and then today I got an email from, anyway, there was a free landing template. But anyway, the point is, got on there, just sat down, and I was totally in the zone. And so I don't know how long it was, but I did it until it was done. And it was like midnight or midnight 30 when I was done. And I made graphics, and I took a template and I really, really tailored it to what I wanted. And basically only used like one tip from the tutorial, because when I got in the zone, I was like, I watched the beginning and I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm just going to figure this out. And I got in there and just started doing it. And yeah, here we are.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
And did you see the landing page checklist that's there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Wait, I can't wait to see it. Good job. Way to go. It's awesome. Great win. Taylor, any for you want to share? Any wins or learning?
I might be able to meet with you and figure out a good game plan to move forward.
And how are you feeling after? Are you still feeling?
Yeah, no, it was good. I sat with it overnight and it sat well and gave me a good pep I needed. Oh,
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Oh, it's so great. And I know, and Jess, I know, has an appointment to meet with Britt. So she's already got, so all of you, like, great job. And it was only a weekend. And just the way we're moving forward. And I feel like I was thinking about this, and sometimes when I was talking with Taylor about this, I've been thinking about with Angie, and she had a big event, and you with Jerusha, who's finishing up the speaking track. It is really important to have something to continually move forward to. Because if we get into that, I'm like, okay, I've got to do all these things, but there needs to be a reason behind it, right? Otherwise, it's like, okay, I'm doing it often, but why? Like, what's the point of this? And I'll tell you, the reason why we're doing this is that way, if there's an event coming up, I mean, and Angie, tell me, when you had your event, what did that do for you? Like, what did that, like,
Well,
was
I
that,
mean, I was scared in my tracks, right? It pushed me forward to make me do the things that I would, honestly, I probably would be, I know myself, and I would probably still not have anything done. Like, I have to have a goal, and I have to be pushed. I have to push myself to do it. And that's a good way to push it. Cause I mean, it's already announced, it was rolling, and like, I had to do it. There was nothing I could do. Like, I had to do it, or else it's like an idiot. So
right. And when knowing that there's something is helpful, right? Like knowing that somebody's asking you to speak, or you're going to be doing it, like it's helpful instead of not just needing to, but just like, as I read that quote about wanting to, right? It's something that you want, right?
Yeah.
Because if you put it in the need part, that's where he talks about when you put it in the need, then you're in the gap. Because like, I don't have this, I need it. But if you want it, it's not that you need it. It's like, no, I want this. I want to go for it. Right.
Yep.
And so, but having that event, that's why I encourage them, like, hey, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And whether that's why I said, if it's speaking track, like, okay, the next thing is this. Well, I want to be able to have my landing page, or I want to be able to have an opt-in. So when I'm speaking to somebody, I can say, hey, I've got this thing, right, that I can give you. I've got this freebie. I've got this, whatever, that you can give on this bit of, you liked this, come back and get some more. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so did everybody feel like you had a chance to kind of look at where, I mean, I don't want us to stay in the gap, but to see where those gaps are that to get you to the next spot? Did everybody have a chance to see what you're missing? Even if it was last week when we went over stuff and like, okay, boom, boom, boom. And that's okay, Angie, we'll talk. You and I have an appointment tomorrow. So yeah, and just kind of feel. But sometimes, and Taylor, maybe you could share your experience yesterday as we went through for her, it was easy to see the gap, but then to suddenly go back and like, no, I have been doing things, right? To be like, oh no, I have done this. But sometimes we get stuck in the what I haven't done, right? And what's necessary. So Angie, now that I said that about the 45 days, did you say it's 45 days of being real, or is it of self-care?
5 days of loving yourself.
Of loving yourself. That's right. I was like, I remembered, I'm like, it wasn't being real. It's just that you said you are being real while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Did you have it all set up, like what your topics were, or are you just going each day with your topics be?
What each day I'm finding something each day. So I'm just I'm rolling with the flow. Like I said, I'm really just trying to be real about it and what comes up and how I'm dealing with it, I'm trying to be intentional each day to figure out one thing that I can do to show my own self-love.
And I love that because I think as you go back through now, if you give an opt-in of 45 days, that might be a little much for an offer from Stage. But if you said, I have a 10 days of things that you could do for 10 days, right? They would probably hop into that, whether it was an email drip system, but even this opt-in of saying on your social media, hey, in my group, I'm doing this, come jump in, right?
Okay.
And just saying that, hey, is anybody else feeling this? Like, there's all this stuff of setting goals, but sometimes it's just a matter of, helping us love. And you could share, if anybody has shared something, you could reach out and say, hey, do you mind if I share this? Hey, women have shared this, this, and this. And you don't have to go into who is saying what. But does that make sense? You can just go on your regular social media and say, hey, we're doing this. And then you just put the link to your group there.
Okay.
Say, do that, come join us. It's free. You can go back, start where you're at. We're only on day whatever, and just start where you're at. Does that make sense? It's not like challenge, but would love to have that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that engagement. And I love, you do a great job. You've got a post, you've got a little story, and then you ask people to participate. What did you do today? What was your thing? And then at the end, I'm the type of person, like, I'd go back and say, pick out your top ones that you're like, oh, this is a theme, right? And that's how we make your opt-in. And maybe it's a jump start, whatever that is. Does that make sense? So we could easily come up with that. And when we set up an email in the background, it would be easy. Like literally you're creating content as you go. Like just by doing this, because you're like, I want to do this. So you do it. And the same thing with when you do the Jordan challenge, right? Love Like Jordan. And you do that. That's another one you can do in the fall every year, right? And that's another opt-in that you can do. So just so you know, these are ideas. You already have stuff. Now we just need to
zone it in.
Yeah, just make it work for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
That makes
and we'll just you have and teach you how to do it so that as you go forward, because you're an idea girl, you're gonna be like, this will be good. Let's do this, right? That kind of thing. So
okay.
So yeah. Does that help? Kind of see like, oh, I'm already doing that. And I was just like, I need to do something.
Yeah. I'll do that tonight.
So
for sure.
Love that. Okay. All right. So who would like some help? Would anybody, Taylor, would you like us to look at your stuff? If not, it's okay. Jerusha, your stuff. Would anybody we can come back and kind of do a hot seat. Anybody want something like that or have any questions?
I thought we were going to do that for Taylor anyway. I thought she was going to show us something. I can't remember last week.
Mm-hmm. Taylor, do you feel up to doing that today?
We can. I actually have 3 kids sick at home, and so I don't know how in and out I'll be, but we can.
Okay. If you want to pull it up, if you feel good with that, we can kind of do a peer review of it. And if you have to come back and watch it later, you can. But if you would rather not, if you're like, no, we can do it. We don't need to. We don't have to. You just tell me what you feel comfortable with.
Let's see if I can even find it.
I might be able to find it in mine too, if you want. I just don't want you to feel like, no. So.
I just have to remember what I saved it under. Oh, it's on my other computer. That's why.
Here, let me look. Let me find it.
You
know what? It's under, I know where it is. For me, it's under, you turned it in under Member Vault.
I was like, I have it on Canvas, so I could probably just re-download it.
Or I can pull it up here. It's up to you if you want. Are you okay if I pull it up? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever's easiest.
I just realized I'm pulling up the. Find your thing. Okay. So what we're going to do is when we look at this, so some things to keep in mind. When we're looking at an opt-in, we are looking at branding. Is it aligned with her branding and her messaging? We're looking at, is it something you would use? And when we give a peer review, we want to always like, okay, we start with the positive. Like, what are some things that you like, that you see, that you notice? And then maybe a suggestion, they're like, oh, I would recommend this. Does that make sense? But I would love for you guys to say, what do you love about this when you see this first? So let me share my screen. Okay. So tell us, I'm going to give you just a second, Taylor, to tell us about your,
Okay, it's saved backwards, so
this is the first page.
yeah, so I need to fix that, but it kind of just like tells them what it is and like to let go guilt and how important it is to take time. Then gives ideas for things they could do. Tells them how to like schedule time out for yourself so that you make sure you get it in, but also like it can be like flexible. And then the top page is kind of like a worksheet that they can go through and fill out and kind of plan their schedule and ideas that they like. And then come back and do like which ones were their favorite and kind of like track the days that they did it.
Would you walk them through this at all? Like how to use it?
Yeah, I could. I didn't know quite what we were supposed to like do, or like I guess I struggle with the idea of what an opt-in is. And so
You're not alone. I do too.
Basically, it's something that you're going to give that goes with your one big message, right? And your signature solution. It goes with that. And it's like, as we say, like a Costco sample, like this is it. So like, for instance, Connie's mini life plan, right? Or think of the 5-day challenge that we did with the purpose challenge, right? Where you wrote one statement with 3 words, right? Okay. Did that lead you to your one big message? Yes, but did you get your one big message in that 5-day challenge? No, right? It just got you tasting for more. So an example of an opt-in that we're looking to do is maybe doing like a speaker purpose statement or a speaker outline, right? Where it's something they're there, but they're not going to get all, does that make sense? It's a taste of what we do. Does that make sense? Another type of opt-in can be a webinar. It can be anything like that, but that's your freebie download. It's like, hey, this is something, this is a tool I use that helps me. And I love this 3 signs that let me know I need a recess. And I love that right here, you gave some examples right here. Do you struggle with feeling this? I love that you had that. And then you say, here's the answer. It's a mommy recess, right? This is what you can do. You've got 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes. And I think one thing that would help, and it might be something on your landing page, we would put a study of why 20 minutes is important, right? And not 10 minutes. Why not 5 minutes, right? But you can do all that on your landing page. And here's 20 minutes. And then right here, you might say, like write this. I like how you have this. This is also something we can put on your landing page, like some of this wording. Does that make sense? And we would say, maybe this is why you're going to put your 20 minutes in here. Here's an example. And this could be 3 pages where you have your example of here's why, and then here's an example. Now do your own. Does that make sense? So you would have one other page filled out that might have examples of why I would need a recess. And I'm tired. I'm short-tempered with my kids, or I'm just stressed all the time. Do you know what I mean? And it might be other things besides stress, like the dishes aren't done, right? Because how many times do we look around the house and we're like, anyway, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's a suggestion. Anyway, I meant to stop and say, okay, what do you ladies love about this? What's something that you love when you see it?
And the first thing I thought of when you brought it up was, okay, I love that font for the title. And I realize this is your second page, but that's great. And then I love how everything else is clear and not too, like, you don't clutter it. But it's also like, I like the font for the rest of it, because that, if you did that calligraphy for everything, it would be really hard on the eyes. But you have a really good font for everything. It's very clear. It's very simple, very to the point. I love the color because it's very calming. And I think that especially if you're an overwhelmed mom, you need that calm. So, you know, like bold, bright colors, maybe not so much. And then on this page down here where you have on, don't forget to schedule time out for you. I love this list on the left, because sometimes when, especially we're feeling overwhelmed, we're like, I don't know what I want to do. But on the right-hand side, the only thing I would say, I would change that is, because Elmira already said, you know, explain the 20-minute thing. Yeah, totally. But I would say one way we can combat this is by making time in our schedule, because you'll never find the time for yourself. There will never be that time that just falls into your lap. And you know, it's like, oh, I don't know how many times I used to say, oh, I didn't find time for myself today, but that's okay. I'll you know, do it tomorrow. No, you have to make the time. It's just, that's all there is to it. But otherwise, I love this. I really do. And I think it's great. I don't know what else to say. I think it's not too much. And at the same time,
You don't want to overwhelm an overwhelmed mom, right?
exactly. And at the same time, it gets the job done.
Yeah. So I love that. Yeah, I love those. Thanks, Sharusha. Angie, anything that you want to add that you loved about this?
Sure. I agree 100% that it's the way you have it lined out, and your fonts, and it's super clean, easy to read. Love it. An explanation, I agree 100% too, just because, like, for me, when I'm overwhelmed and anxious, like, I can't think for myself what I'm supposed to do. It's kind of like how we don't understand the opt-in. Like, sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, like, I just don't understand what someone's saying. So explaining that 20 minutes, I think would be awesome too. I love it. Like, I love it. If I had littles, I mean, I even need a recess from my own adult kids, but just remembering back then when I had 4 little kids and was working full time and trying to do everything, like, I needed something like this just for me to just stop and be present with myself for a minute. We lose ourselves as moms, and this is a good way to kind of come back for, even if it's just 20 minutes, or remember who we are, and just to reset, ground ourselves. So I love it.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you both. What's one thing that you wish was on there? And I think I kind of heard some things, but just to kind of reiterate, what's one thing that you're like, okay, this is one suggestion. And remember, it might be, oh, I would consider this, or have you thought about this? Remember our yips, or perhaps you could do this. So anybody have, we talked about perhaps doing an example sheet so they could see what goes in where, like how you envision them using it, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And perhaps even like a little bit bigger list of things to do, right? Just more, like I said,
Oh, so kind of having like a recess, like, so more than like her 10 things here, right? Just like having a,
like, have a reset list, because there's some activities, some may be able to do, like some people might not be able to bath because they only have a shower. Like at my house, like we only have a shower and I want a bath, but I have to go to my son's bath, right? Like, so I don't know, just I think different, if you could give a list of more than 10 things for people to do, because there may be some things people can't, or it's just not their jam.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Tricia, anything else that you?
And don't be afraid to go big. Like, I know that 20 minutes is not very long, but you could put ideas in there that take, you know, any amount of time, and just let them know maybe that they can adapt it to their situation. I love how you have a notes section, because that way, if they have more to write than will fit in your categories and your little slots, then they can, you know, they can write. Because how many of us have, you know, we have more thoughts and we're like, oh, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. And, you know, that way you're not filling up the page, but they can use that notes section and write those extra things. But I really love the idea of, like Lamira said, of having a page, an example page, as like a sample, you know, a sample done page. They don't just, when you're overwhelmed, you're not able to really, you don't have the clarity. That's what I'm trying to get at. So that will help with the clarity. Like all this other stuff you're doing, it's really helpful to have that list of examples. It's all these things. But if you say, oh, and by the way, this is not only going to help you with overwhelm, but this is how it can help you with overwhelm, I think that would be awesome.
And that's something
Then they don't have to come up with anything by themselves necessarily.
Taylor, any thoughts that you want to share about it that you?
I really like all those points to put in and implement. I think those are good ideas. I like adding in a filled out worksheet, because I did contemplate doing that, but I didn't know if it would be too much, and so I didn't. I just left one blank, and so I'll probably go back in and do that. I like the idea of adding in other ideas too. So yeah, those are all good points to take in, and then I'll go change that finding time to making time, because that's true. We do have to just make the time for it.
And that's one thing we'll do is before it goes live, we'll make sure that, you know, grammar, syntax, like looking at formatting and, you know, and I don't know if you need the date on there. That's just something to consider. You might not even need that. And you could just put mommy recess up top and something about taking time for you. And this might be, okay, we're going in, and now it might be schedule when can I fit it in? And you have a lot of space in here. And so that's why it would be good to see, are we saying Monday at this time? Is it a daily thing, or is it a, you know what I mean? Like if you're like, okay, this is a daily reset, but start small. What time can you do it this week? Does that make sense? Where you're like, okay. And you might put a day and a time or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you might circle the day that you're going to do it this week. You know, after they brainstorm all the ways, maybe consider doing that and making that commitment. Put it in your calendar, and then, and I like that. Which ones are my favorite? Like, here's ideas, here's what I want to do. And then maybe down here, and it doesn't even have to be notes, but it can be, they're going to set a goal, kind of like that mommy reset. You know, what day and time am I going to do this? And what am I going to do? Schedule it in. I got this done. You know, if that's just a thought, if it's like a one-time thing or, but I think the thing they'll really want are those ideas of ways that they can have a recess. And so having and we can talk about kind of like your introduction page, right? Of what to do and how to do it. But if you have a list, and maybe it's this is going to sound big, but 100 things that you could do. And you could even pull your women. You could pull the DTLC, you could pull it in, you know, on your, you just put a question on your social media that says, "Kay, if you're going to take a recess as a mom, you're going to take 20 minutes out of your day to do something you love. What is it? What's something that recharges your soul?" And just put it there and see what people put an answer to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
And that way that will give you ideas. So you don't have to come with it all on your own. And then maybe you'll get 50, maybe you'll get, and you call like 50, you know, that way you're putting out the ideas of what are ways that you can do this. And I'm going to give you my tool on how to like set that time aside for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. That's a good idea.
So, but those are the things I love, and I agree. I love the clean look. I love that it's very, you can tell her brand, can't you? It's got that feminine flair. With the same time with those soft tones, and that it's more like, okay, we're gonna recharge. So I love that. So great job. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's amazing, Taylor. You did a really, really, really good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being a guinea pig and letting us hot seat you.
Oh,
And
no problem.
so yeah, and then as soon as you get your little logo down there, I would encourage you to put that down there at the bottom. And maybe even sometimes across the bottom, you could put where they can find you, right?
Oh,
Like on Facebook or Instagram, handle like at whatever, or your group. Does that make sense?
that's good to, yeah, I totally spaced that. That's a good thing to have on there. And so,
But you definitely want your little logo so it's branded as you. If that makes so, or you know, when you get a website eventually, but whatever your little logo is, put it down at the bottom, or a name.
okay, perfect.
So great job. I love that. And Canva has so many,
Oh, you're sweet, Joshua.
they have so many templates, right? You can start with the template and then you can change it out too. But I love that. It's great. Just as a heads up, do any of you follow I Am Michelle Gifford on Instagram? If you want to, I think she's still got it tomorrow. And I don't know, Angie, it's right during our coach call, your session with me, but she is doing a webinar on planning a year's worth of content on how to do that on social media. So if that interests you at all, it's free. It's a free webinar. I'll put it in our Foundation 5 and Tier 1 group, like her things. You can go sign up if you want to do that. So if I know over the break, I think I purchased a content calendar. I got her hooks, like those are awesome. I also purchased some guy for $10. He had a year's worth of a content calendar. It was a whole year's worth. And then he updates it every year. Once you buy it once, you can have it. I was like, oh, these are great ideas. And I thought about sharing it with you, but I'm like, no, that's his value offering. And so I don't want to take away from him, but
We'll put his name in so we can see, so we can.
yes, I think Lucas O'Keefe. I'll go find it though. But I'll share with you some of the people I follow on Facebook, on Instagram, who are social media people. That one make me feel better about not doing a reel like 20 times a day, right? You see these people have a bazillion reels and they do them, but they also encourage you to just start messy, you know? And then I like Lucas O'Keefe because he does a lot of like why doing static posts are good too. So you're going to notice that social media is going to go in waves, like, oh, it's all video right now. Now it's all this. And now it's all like, it has to look perfect. And now it doesn't. And I'm just going to say, like, we can get all caught up in that. But just the whole idea is be consistent on what your messaging is. And if it shifts, like you'll see will shift, but as you do, you'll get more niched, right? Sometimes your niche will shift as you go, and you'll see that with Connie. She started out doing one thing. And as she's gone throughout her 25 years of doing this, she's gotten more niched. Does that make sense? And it's kind of shifted, and that's okay. You start where you are. So Anyway, so yeah, I will put in there, I'll find the Michelle Gifford thing and I'll find the guy who had his content calendar because I was like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. Like it's given me ideas for what we do in TTL. And then one other thing I want to share with you, and we'll announce this tomorrow. So I'm just giving you a heads up. We are doing next week in Purpose Filled Women, we are doing a speaker challenge where Connie is going to be doing it's 4 days. So it's going to do Tuesday through Friday. And she's going to teach people basic skills of teaching. It's a free opt-in challenge where you can opt in, and we'd love for people to share it. I'm going to share some graphics next week, but she's going to talk about that. And we have a landing page. So while you guys have been doing this, I had to go in and do a landing page over the break. Actually, I did it on, what day was it? Saturday. Did a landing page for the You Can Be a Speaker challenge. And it leads to our Speaker in a Day event that we've been talking about. So anyway, so those are things that if you know people, and you can see an example of what those look like. So anyway, what's a landing page? What does that look like? And we'll kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. But I'm excited to work with you guys through your landing pages. I'm gotta go finish that template for you all now so you can kind of see what to story brand it. So any other questions that you guys have or ideas that you have that can help you, that we can help each other with?
I'm excited to meet with you tomorrow.
Oh, I'm excited too. I think you guys realize that you're a lot further along than you think. So doing great. Okay. All right. So let's go around and set your intention for this. What are you working on this week? What is it that you are going to be doing?
I am meeting with you and Connie both to try and figure out where I am and where I'm going and what do I need to move forward to the speaker track.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Setting a plan. Great job. Okay. Taylor, what are you working on?
I'm getting my social media up and going so that I can get a mailer light up and going.
Okay. And just a few, right? And we talked about that. It's just simple enough that they can see what you are and what you do. Jerusha, what are you working on this week?
I'm gonna set an appointment with you and get my website. I think it's not going to be difficult to get it done. I just have never done a website from the ground up before. And watching all of the videos and stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't want to mess up the back end, and I want to, so I just thought, okay, if I get Lamira in there with me, she can be like, this is what you do, and then I can get it all finalized, but I need to get it
Anything
done.
you mess up, you can fix. Does that make sense?
Well, that's just the thing is I work a lot on as you know, I work a lot on the back end, but I've never created a website, myself without any, like, it's basically from scratch.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. I know I can, but I need somebody to be there that's like a little more knowledgeable than I am to make sure.
Templates are your friend. That's templates. Because when I was doing it before, I'm like, nope, templates. Use the templates because that's why there are people out there who create them. So, all right. This is great, ladies. I'm so proud of you. Way to go. Like over the weekend, you each moved forward on something. So let's stay in touch. If you have something you would like us to look over, send it my way and I'll do that. And Taylor, I will get back to you. If you make any changes on that, do you want to make changes and get back to me, or do you want me to look over the one you already have?
Either way works.
So, but yeah. And maybe after I'll let you make some changes and then send it back. And you can just send me the Canva link. That's fine too. And you can just email it or WhatsApp it to me and just say, hey, here's the link. Can you go look? And I think you had sent me something before, branding page. When you send, and let me just show you all this really quick. When you send something in Canva, I'm going to pull it up and show you how to do this. Okay. So, I just had to pull something up in Canva so I could do this. Okay, so let's say this is a post that I want you to look at and evaluate, or that I'm going to share with you so you can use it as a template, okay? When I go to share it, I hit share, and then I can hit copy link, but the first thing you need to do is change. Okay, Zoom has something in the way that I don't know what this is. Okay. You can have the view only link where I can just go view it, but you need to change your link sharing and just change it to anyone with the link, right? It's not like you're going to put this link out there for right now. And you can do that. And if you don't want them to edit, you just want them to view or comment on it. Like if you wanted me to just comment and leave comments, I can do that. Does that make sense? But if it's just to see it, that's fine. I wouldn't put edit it because eventually when you share this as a PDF or something for somebody, if it's a Canva link, it becomes a template or something, then you would do can view so that they can download it. Does that make sense? But then that way, if I send you this link, so let me give you an example. So I hit copy link and I go ahead and I put it in Zoom in the chat. If you click on it, you should be able to just be able to go in and see. Let me know if you can't see that then. Did it work? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Did it work? Can you click on it and see? Okay. So yeah, so then you're able to just go look and see what we did. That makes sense. So but yeah. Okay. So that would be awesome. Anything that you make in there would be perfect. I'm trying to find buttons. All right. You would think I would know where all the buttons are, but when I move them, I can't see them. So all right, ladies, great job. Have a great week. And we will see you tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. It's Jenny Layton. She has spoken a couple times, not in the DTLC, but with Connie. She's done some podcasts. We've done webinars with her. And she is all about organization. And she is so good about how your external organization affects your internal organization and how it gives great tips on how to do that. So you don't want to miss her. She's pretty awesome. So, all right. Love you all, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you guys.